In this episode of Social Heroes, we have Mr. Krishna Mohan from Krishna Sadan.
Krishna Sadan is a free place for elderly, and one of the main reasons we started is unfortunately Hyderabad stands number 3 in India for elder abuse cases.
Hello and welcome to PMC English. This is Aishi Farasi and welcome to yet another episode of Social Heroes. In this episode of Social Heroes, we have Mr. Krishna Mohan from Krishna Sadan, a home for the elderly people. So let's get into conversation with Mr. Krishna Mohan and let's get to know the journey of Krishna Sadan. Welcome to PMC English, sir. So starting with, what is Krishna Sadan all about?
Krishna Sadan is a free place for elderly, and one of the main reasons we started is unfortunately Hyderabad stands number 3 in India for elder abuse cases, and South India, like, we are number 1 for number of elders being abused physically and verbally. So what happens is, like, Hyderabad alone has 280 old age homes. When an elder has an adjustment difficulty at his home and when they wanted to go and spend some time, there are not many places where they can go without spending money, number 1. Number 2, due to various reasons like security and other reasons, few NGOs, like most of the old age homes, if an elderly has to join, they have to pay 3 months of amount in advance, and they have to make a caution deposit, a refundable, non-refundable amount, and all this. So if, assuming there is one elderly who had a fight with his son or daughter-in-law due to some adjustment difficulty, or they had some situation where he or she is little uncomfortable, they wanted to go out and spend some time. In such a scenario, these elderly are unfortunately ending up paying for 3 months and staying in an old age home, which is not the requirement. They just need a space for a day or two. So Krishna Sadan is more a transit home. Anyone, any elderly can come, spend a day or two without spending any money, feel relaxed, and then they can go back. So that's how, that was one of the main reasons we started Krishna Sadan. And we try to reach as many elders as possible who are in such need, and we do counseling for them. So apart from that, is called, I call it a transit home. Apart from that, there are several elders who need counseling support. So I'm a qualified BSW social worker with BSW and MSW, bachelor's in social work and master's in social work. So what I do is, like, when elders come to me with adjustment difficulty and they say we have issues at home, I talk to them and their caretakers, or sometimes caretakers come. Sometimes maybe the elder is creating a problem. Sometimes it's not always from one direction. So I sit along with the caretaker and the elderly, and we try to resolve it and try to see if we can reunite them. So there were several elders who came out of their home or staying in an old age home, or maybe they are living separately from their children, and the issues are very small sometimes. Maybe a continual follow-up and talking to both the sides, like, will help. So like that, over last 8 years, we could reunite close to 105, 106 elderly with their families. So that's the main intention, reuniting elders with the families and making sure elders have a dignified life, and making sure, like, they live within their own home. So whatever is falling short for it, we are trying to fill it up through Krishna Sadan.
Wonderful thought process. But do you have permanent residents as well, the elderly people who are in a need to stay permanently at Krishna Sadan?
Yeah, so we call that as a long stay facility. So several elders, but the criteria here is we only take elders who, number 1, who are not able to pay amount. So only for people who cannot afford for a pay home, we take them, and also for elders who do not have any family members. So I feel it's a sin from my belief, or for my understanding, I feel it's a sin if I'm doing wrong giving, like apatra danam we say culturally. So if the person is capable of spending money, and if I'm taking someone who can actually pay, and I'm denying an opportunity for someone else actually, so I don't do that. So I have a limited number, like I won't take more than 12 people for long stay, and all these 12 people are elderly people who do not have immediate family members and who cannot pay any amount. Only such elderly we take, and that we limited to 12. I strongly believe in service is not about number, and it's more about the quality of time we spend with them. And also, when I started 10 years ago, I was 27 years old. I'm not in a rush we have to make 10 buildings or have 100 people around. So that is something I'm not into it. I believe it's even if you're serving to one elderly person, that is still service or seva. Even for example, we have a Goshala in the premises. The moment you tell about Goshala, people will think of 100 cows. Imagine 100 cows jumping here and there. For me, Goshala is also even 2 cows, that still makes it a Goshala. So I have to take to the extent I can serve and I can be happy with, not beyond what I can take. And also, it's not essential that you upscale your number just to show that you are a great social worker. Somehow I'm not into that belief system. We limited the long stay numbers to 12 people, 12 elderly. And for transit, we do get around 5 to 10 people. So transit, as I said, these are elderly who come for 1 day, 2 day or up to a week. So any given point of time, there will be 20-25 elders in our place, Krishna Sadan.
After knowing about the story of Krishna Sadan, we would want to know that what inspired you to start Krishna Sadan.
This is maybe a little boring because I don't have a story where I can't say I was walking on street, I found some elderly, I got tears, and it's not like that. I on the same where your studio is present, on the same road. For example, while I was a student, I found a Pani Puri place where there was a small child working in the Pani Puri place. So moved, I thought no, this is child labor, this is not right. So I called child helpline and I made sure the child was admitted to a school. And I was very happy because it was my first year of graduation. So I was so happy, proud that I did something good. I gave a life to a child, something like that. But practically in 2 weeks, 3 weeks time, in the same road, there's a colony that belongs to people who are into lawyers and judges, something. So in one of the person's place, I saw a domestic child labor. Okay, for a Pani Puri person, I could explain him this is not right. And I could convince him to send the child to a bid school. Now what should I tell to a lawyer or a judge if they employed a domestic child labor? So I was so shocked, and I was I decided that's something I have to work on. So for 1 year, I started working with several NGOs working for children, and in the meantime, I found a small students organization with support of another NGO. We grew up to we had more than 1,500 to 2,000 volunteers. At that time, there was a law called Child Labor, 1984 Child Labor Regulation and Regulation Act. So it meant any child below the age of 14 is not allowed to work in hazardous condition. Now hazardous condition is like Sivakasi or stone crushing, something like that.
Chemical
it also
factories.
Yeah, exactly, chemical factories, anything hazardous. It indirectly also implied if he is given a safe work environment, like a domestic at a home, it's not hazardous, so you can employ them. So that was misused by several people. So I think see Kailash Satyarthi from Bombay. So many NGOs like Kailash Satyarthi and many people started writing to ministers asking for change of law from 1984 Child Labor Regulation Act to Regulation and Prohibition Act. It was amended, and in 2007 it was amended. There, for 1 year, I worked with all these organizations, encouraging youth to write letters to member of parliamentarians and outreaching to other CSOs, civil society organizations, and making them give their voice that this should be made. In the process, I learned several things can be changed if you can work with determination. So that's one of my main learning. As I was working on child labor, I started explaining things on situations in ground level and so and so forth, and several organizations at local level, national level, and global level, they started liking the way I am presenting it to young people and how I could motivate them. So I was into some fellowships, and I could travel to close to 20-25 countries as a trainer, and I met several young people. In this process, I felt I had to if this was going on for 2 years, 3 years, I can continue going to different countries, continue being a trainer in different places. But I felt I have to do something back home. By the time 26 years of age, now I saw 25 countries. I met one of the best leaders whom I thought like I should get inspiration from. I met some people like that. But there's a lot of discontent that I should do something. There, I had chosen elderly as one of the area, and I worked for 2 years to see what are the issues that's there in aging. So it's like more a controlled thought thing, like where I did a lot of brainstorming and thought, okay, this is one area I'll have to work. Nothing emotional, because if you are emotional, if you take a decision and start a home like this, hardly it will stay for 6 months or 1 year or maximum 2 years. Once the emotion part goes away, you'll start thinking, why did I start it? So it's not for me. In my case, I'm a professional social worker. I did my bachelor's and master's. I was a faculty for 2 years. I traveled many places. I saw many people working like this. So it's a thorough thought process where, okay, let me do pick one area where I can work, and then I chose elderly. And then I started looking out for homes who are working like us, learned some of the best stories from them, and like that I started Krishna Sadan. It's more a professional thing.
So you did a thorough research about how to start this organization, and then you started.
Yes, very much.
What are the initiatives that you take place in Krishna Sadan, or you're planning to do it in the future days?
As I told you, one of the activity we are doing is the transit home thing. I feel that's very important, and I feel it's a very wrong thing for elders to get separated from families. That's a non-negotiable. We all should say with like a louder voice that we will never allow elders to come out of their families, and we will not allow children to be in such situations. So one, from my end, what I am doing is like, okay, we are doing transit home for elders who want to come out. 2, if they are having issues between them, we are trying to do counseling. 3, also like working with the younger generation. Like, like they say the civilization of a society is dependent on how you treat women, elderly and animal in your society. So if you are not, like if we are representing a society where 2 years ago elderly couple from Pune write to President of India seeking for honor killing because no one is wishing them a good morning or good night, and they are feeling lonely, it's a shame on us. Like we are part of that society where elders are feeling so lonely. That's not our culture. Unfortunately, one of the celebrity elderly person, he committed suicide of the same depression. So if elders around us are feeling so low, and we are talking about the elders who actually built our nation like this. Now I'm not saying they did something great for us, and now where is the payback for us, paying back from us? Like what is that we are giving to them? That's a very wrong thing. So one aspect apart from transit home and counseling, most important thing I do is like giving orientations at several schools and colleges. I keep visiting schools. I tell them like, whom did you wish in the morning, first good morning? They say like, okay, Raju Anna on a school bus, or my teacher. So I say like, okay, all that is good. Also say good morning to your grandpa. And sometimes you come out of your home. Sometimes I see some parents saying, no, don't go to that uncle. He's an elderly person. He'll keep killing your time. Let's not do that. Let's make sure like you have proper interactions with your grandparents. That is one point I do. And 2, I also make, when I visit the schools, we come up with programs where for 1st to 5th class, we ask them to come up with stories like that's shared by their grandparents, and they have to come to school and they should share it. 2, from 5th to 10th, now they were no more interested in stories now, so I can't ask them. So we tell them, like for example, we give them cameras, and we ask them to pick cameras and ask them to come up with photographs where the subject includes their grandparents. They can choose whatever photo it is, but one of the best photo will give an award, something like that. So we try to see the more possibilities of interactions between grandparents and grandchildren at school level. So that is one thing I do at schools, and BTech colleges, I visit them and I try to tell them like how it is important to volunteer to elderly people, something like that. So end of the day, it doesn't make sense like if I have traveled enough and if I have been educated to master's level into social work, and if I am still living in a city that's not elder friendly, that's a shame on me. So okay, and that's not enough if I say I'm doing Krishna Sadan, that's okay. No, that's not right. if I am capable, like if I can spend 1 minute to send a hi message to WhatsApp on my friend, I can equally spend the same 1 minute in also something else productive. So I feel like I tried explore things like this to ensure like we will live going forward, like in coming 10 years or 15 years, we live in one of the cities which is more elder friendly, aging friendly. That is one of the focus. That's where I keep working on.
Yeah. Like when you mentioned that you get elderly people in Krishna Sadan, so what kind of mentality do these elderly people have? Like, is it like, they are going through certain psychological problems, or there are clashes between the family, or their family abandoned them? So are there any of these cases where these elderly people come to the Krishna Sadan?
For elders who come on transit home basis, the issues could be different sometimes. So now, unfortunately, what happens if the husband and wife are fighting, or two friends are fighting? No, you're not focused on what the other person is saying. You're more focused on who's listening around. Let me close the windows, let me close the door, so no one else should be listen. So what we do in Krishna Sadan is like, first they come with various reasons. First we make sure like they went out whatever is the thing, whatever is the complaint they had, and basing on that we then work with the elderly. We call it social casework in MSW. Like in counseling, like for MSW we call it social casework. So like that, each case is different, and yes, most of the times it will be misunderstandings between the parents and children. Sometimes they don't get it. For example, in the lockdown time, there were several elders who were complaining like before lockdown. Now my daughter is not at all good, or my son is not at all good. They're coming home drunk sometimes. I don't know what they are doing in their office. Like until 5 o'clock they go to office, and they come to home at around 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock drunk. I'm very much vexed up with this. I so think of our days where we used to come properly back home, something like that. Few elders used to say. During COVID time, when they had to work from home, they saw their children, daughter-in-law, son-in-law working hard from morning 7 to 10 or whatever. They were saying like, are you poor chaps, how are they even surviving? I feel like giving them something so that they'll be more relaxed. So it's something they don't understand sometimes what happens at workplace, the stress sometimes. So COVID, in a way, it helped few elderly to understand how hard they are working, and sometimes so various reasons, like they don't understand sometimes. Sometimes it's not just elderly, sometimes even the caretakers. I know few caretakers like children or they go to their work and they forget the aspect of their parents getting socialized, or they don't give that space or window. So there several elders staying at home for a longer time, they get so irritated, and that will also be there. So there'll be various reasons.
So maybe it's like because of lack of understanding, the misunderstandings they rise up in the family.
Most of the time misunderstandings, sometimes ego. So there's an elderly person in our home, for example. He ended up being in Krishna Sadan because he never approved his son marrying to someone else of different caste. And he decided he'll not talk to his son because he did that. Now that happened 30 years back. Now it's more of ego that he's not able to go back and say, I'm sorry son for whatever happened. Now the son equally says, during my peak time when I needed my parents, they were never there. Now I am one of the eminent personality in the society now. I have my own status, my own circles and everything. I don't need my parents anymore. No, then why should I take the lead and say sorry to my father? So sometimes it's more about the ego. So all these things.
And maybe the age factor, because of that, they are not able to understand, they're not able to cope up with, certain things in life.
This is one point where I don't agree, because there's not even one age point where you can say, yes, at this age you'll be very peaceful. No. At every age, like when elders come to Krishna Sadan, I tell them I'll only give you free food, free stay, free health. Only these three things. I will never say I'll make you happy, I'll make you peaceful. Never. Because I tell them, no, you're an elderly person who is having like several things going on in your mind or your heart, and you're so toxic and your thinking's all negative sometimes. Even if I take you to Himalayas and make you sit with Saptarishis, even then you will not find peace, even in Himalayas. On the other hand, like if there is a person who is finding peace in everything, who is comfortable with wherever they are positioned at, if I take that person who can meditate and put him on Secunderabad railway station, platform number 1, among that chaos also, they'll still be able to do meditation. Peace and happiness is something you have to earn, you have to make an effort. So there's one thing, even I was in misconception that people as they age, they grow wise. No. It's all like effort, who want to understand things, want to be wise by empathizing the other person. These efforts like that they have to make. And that's irrespective of age. So I see very wise young people, very stupid elderly people. So it's not with the age, it's completely at the personal level. In my experience, like I saw few elderly people, I was so happy to meet them. They're so rich in knowledge, and things they share like was amazing. Like I feel like I almost lived almost 80 years of their life or 60 years of their life. So I feel now sometimes I'm 1000 years old for having learned from whatever they lived so far. So such rich experience you get sometimes with few elderly. Few elderly, they're not like, they're still living with the same complaints. No, on the day of my son's marriage, my wife fell on from the stage. Daughter-in-law is a bad omen. As long as she's there, I'll never step into my home. And they keep thinking like that and they die like that. No, we can't correct any of it. Like we keep telling them that's not, you shouldn't perceive things like that. So it's the choices they make on how they want to perceive the world and live. So we have, it's both the ways. So we can't link aging with again wisdom, and that is a different thing.
So you also mentioned about the meditation. So in Krishna Sadan there are meditation classes, or the elderly people, they engage in meditation. So how important role does meditation play in their life?
Most of the times what happens with elderly is like they overlook one meditation to exercise. So this is one point where we keep emphasizing them. Sometimes even transcendental meditation. Some elders say like, no, I can't even start off with meditation because there's already so much in my mind going on. Like I tell them like, sit along with us, do bhajan in the morning. Like we every day at 8 o'clock in the morning, we sit down for bhajan, like for bhajan in the sense like short prayers for half an hour, something like that. All the residents in Krishna Sadan, they'll have to attend it. In case if you're not a believer of bhajans and everything, you are allowed to do some volunteer work during that time, but you are not allowed to sleep or just sit like. So that half an hour, we encourage elders to get into transcendental meditation. Pick a word and do it on repetitive style and be Om or whatever of your choice. So that's something I stress upon. And we have a space called Meditation Annex in Krishna Sadan premises. What happens is, like when I told you, there are several elders in city who are abused or who are going through a lot of things. Not all of them need a home, like a old age home, something like that. They just need a space where they can come and relax and go. So we have a library collection of few very good books, and elders come from outside, they pick the book and they go to the meditation annex, read it for a while or sit down for meditation, spend time until evening, and they go back. And we make it a point that for every activity in Krishna Sadan, we do not charge anyone for anything. It's all free of cost. So there are a group of elders, for example, 10 people, 15 people, sometimes even 100, 150. They tell us they are coming for on so and so weekend, and they keep us informed, and we prepare food for them and everything. So morning from 9 o'clock until evening 5 o'clock, they spend the whole day, relax, read some books, do some meditation. Or there are few elders who get their USB speakers, have fun, music and everything, but still they have some good time until evening and they leave. So it's like that. And this space is like, especially for elders who are, apart from not only our residents, also from different parts of the city, they keep coming there. Especially in the month of Kartika Masam, we call it Vanabhojan. We get close to 2000 to 2500 elders from different parts of the city coming there, coming for community lunch, 100, 150 of them. It goes on like that.
Okay. So it's like not only the residents, people, the elderly people from outside also come and spend time at Krishna Sadan.
Yeah, quite a lot of them. Sometimes it's more the elders from outside, like the events are more for the elders outside sometimes.
So they can have fun and they can do whatever they wish to do in that span of time.
Yeah, that's how they come. And Hyderabad has around 160 senior citizen associations. So quite a lot of elders from these associations know something like this exists in city. So if they have a group of 5 or 10, if they ask within the group, if they propose for like, let's go somewhere, one of the options they have is Krishna Sadan. In fact, like not just these elders and not just about Krishna Sadan, I'm saying in general, I encourage elders to keep going out from their homes, not sit at home. Because I see, especially from between men and women, you see senior citizen associations. If I said 160, 99% of them are men, not even 50% of women.
And why is that?
Most of the time, women stay at home, they don't come out. And for men, for example, if they have an issue, for example, his son is shouting at him, or he shouted at his son, whatever, some disturbance has happened. Men have this tendency of coming out. Either they go out for a smoke or a walk or whatever, and they come out. Not in case of women, unfortunately. So before starting old age home, I had this belief, culturally also, like even in movies they show that a woman is very important. So they'll, among the grandparents, they'll keep the grandmother and they'll send the grandfather to a old age home. That's how sometimes most of the movies also show. So even I was assuming like, okay, maybe 10 calls I receive, 9 will be men, 1 will be female. No, it's other way around. 9 will be women, 1 will be men. Now, when men, anyways, they have their way outs. Like whenever they are stressed, they just go out, have a walk, and come back. No, unfortunately, women, they can't do it. They don't go out. They feel more stressed and they feel more sorry for their own life, and they just want to quit everything and come to old age homes. That's very shocking. That's very sad sometimes. So I keep telling, like, be it women in my own circle, elderly women, or anyone who comes to me, I keep telling them, just go out, keep yourself socializing. And sometimes they say that's something we are not used to since our childhood. That's something I understand, but things are changing. We are living today amidst a virus which never existed before, amidst lifestyles which never was there before. A simple handshake is scary sometimes. A simple invitation to a party is scary sometimes. So things are changing. So maybe this aspect should also change.
So the change of mind, the change of environment is quite necessary for everyone, not only the elder people, everyone.
Yeah, everyone. But for other people, it's easy. Now we are talking about elderly who are having knee pains. We are talking about elderly who are diabetic. Now, how many places in our city are elder friendly? Now you think of a tourist place, China, for example. If they want to use loo, like washroom, how often they are available? How often you can take a public transport without getting any disturbance? Like now, if you see a elderly person with arthritis, for example, they can't lift their leg for more than 15 centimeters. Now imagine, can you walk like that in the city freely? 90% of the elders, the pensioners, they have to visit banks. How many banks are on ground floor without any steps? And how many temples of ours or religious places of ours are like without all the steps or anything? So now we want them to come out. At the same time, it's tricky that we are also not having provision if they are coming out so often. Like how many supermarkets have they can't wait for a longer time. How many supermarkets have a special line for elderly, something like that, where they can just get billed and go. Like we experience sometimes, we just need a Coke or a cookie. Sometimes we go to a supermarket, even if it's one item, like we'll have to wait for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. That's okay with us. There's no complaint. But now imagine an elderly woman or someone, they'll have to wait the same time. So it's not just enough that we seek them to come out, and also that's what I feel. I told you, sometimes I feel ashamed that for people who built our nation so far like this, we are not giving back to them, paying back to them. I feel like it's each of our responsibilities that we make our city elder friendly as well. At one end, we want them to come. It's equal. Other end, we also have to work to ensure our cities are elder friendly, and this is not for them. Okay, we won't do it unless there is something selfish there. Okay, it's for us. We are a country who is going to be second highest elderly populated country. I'll be old tomorrow and I'll need such facility. At least for myself, I have to work on it. If I am 60 and I'm coming out of home, I should make sure I can actually be mobile and easy. Yeah.
But there are many provisions which come up for the senior citizens, like there are reservation quotas. At certain places, they are given the priority as well. But still, as a whole, we need to come up with more such provisions for them so that many elderly people can come out.
I don't say everything is so pessimistic. Yeah. True. But it's only relative comparison. Yeah. Things can get more better. Yeah. Things are good, they can get more better. Things are better than they were 20 years back, maybe 50 years back, maybe. Still, but I'm saying at the pace we are aging, at the, like, for example, you talk about issues like Alzheimer's, schizophrenia, or anything. Now, I keep getting calls from people who say, like, they have an elderly person who is affected with so and so issue, mental health issue, and they want to keep the elderly person in a home. Mine is a free place now, and in my free place, like, I don't take people who are completely sick, because I don't have that facility right now. But we are constructing, having plans for next year. But when I receive such calls and I suggest them other homes, there are homes who charge from 45, 50, 60,000 to up to a lakh. That amount, like, falling on a middle class family is like a huge, like, big thing. So almost it's like all everything they earn is like they're spending for the elderly. Yeah. So I'm saying, like, on all lines, not just, of course, mobility part and also everything. We just need to little speed up on that aspect.
So also, Mr. Krishna Mohan, how is Krishna Sadan different from all other organizations? Because in Hyderabad, there are many organizations who are working for the old age people. So how is Krishna Sadan different from all of them?
Maybe I don't need to be different sometimes. Maybe I can be just like them. This is just our way of doing it. There are 280 old age homes in Hyderabad, and maybe I'm like maybe 150 of them. As long as I'm able to address the problem of aging, I don't need to be special. I don't need to be different. If I'm being helpful, that's enough. I don't want to run to be different. I don't want to make an effort to be special. My only intention is, it's okay, as long as I can do what I intend to do. I intend to serve 10 elderly. If I'm serving, that's good.
So, like, everybody has their own unique style of, serving.
I don't even say unique also. I'm saying it's a normal thing. Okay. I'm not trying to be humble, or not. I'm not at all trying to picture, like, I'm just saying it's okay.
You're what you are.
Yeah, that's okay. We don't need to compare ourselves with anyone.
Yes.
That's my piece of work I'm doing. So if there are 60 students, like, apart from when you're going for exams and marks, you don't need to see, like, how each of them are different. Like, as a teacher, my responsibility is to teach them, and as a student, their work is to learn, something like that. That's it. How they apply it, that's a different thing. So the same way, like, somehow I don't feel this is one area I don't need to be competitive. Like, I mean to say, like, service is like how much ever you want to give, we can give. I don't need to have a jealous on anyone else. I don't need to be
comparing.
Yeah, that's okay. As long as my main intent is, like, I have to be happy with what I'm doing. As I told you, we are not after numbers. Too elderly, like, sometimes, like, just 2 weeks back, some media house people, they called, for example, I'm just sharing. They asked me, like, I actually visited your place and in your absence, I loved it, and I just want to feature your home on our channel, like one of the prime channel and some prime show, like yours, like something good. So they told we want to feature it. Only thing is, just let's add 10 or 15 more volunteers and elders, so it looks good. So I'm not into that number thing. I told, like, if you're a believer, like, for example, when Ram Lakshman were looking for Sita, Hanuman never said, like, no, if 10 women were taken, I would have come. Just for one Sita, I won't come. It's not about the number. It's a Swami Bhakti that he's committed to the Swami and the service, and he did it. Something like that. The same thing with us. It's not a number game. It's not a competition. It's like it's something like you do it with compassion, that's it. And I'm very much loving what I'm doing, be it now, previously be it like only Krishna Sadan, now eventually I fell in love with Koshala. So that's also more good, like that.
So also one of the beautiful aspect of Krishna Sadan is that vegetarian food is being served to all the people, all the residents of Krishna Sadan. What was your thought process behind it? So is it like initially you were a vegetarian or gradually you transformed yourself? So what is it all about?
Like initially I was a vegetarian as well, like, but I did had like I was for 2 years into intermediate in a hostel, and I got into non-vegetarian food and everything. But somehow that conscious, like, where I can't dramatize it, but still I was very aware that I didn't want to be a non-vegetarian. It was like as good as that, and I quit being a non-vegetarian, and then again, since my intermediate, I am a complete vegetarian. So it was last time was 2002 maybe. So after that has been my personal life, the practice in at my level, personal level. With Krishna Sadan also, like I take it as a temple place, and even the food we take it as, like, I believe in Satvik and Vedic. Vedic, I'm not sure if it's the right word, like, because I see like people, few elders I see, like they say Satvik, they cook food very, very much within like less salt, less spices and everything, very good food, healthy food for them. But they store it for a longer time, like they make it in the morning and they eat, maybe because they are all tired, they can't have that energy or whatever. But something I'm little against that. I say, like, you cook it for that particular meal only. That's where I started using the word Vedic. Cook it, eat it in like maybe less than 2 hours. Don't make it store for a longer time, more than 2 hours. So at Krishna Sadan we practice it. And one small thing is, like, in Krishna Sadan, like I know from my grandparents and many elders, like they used to have their main meal in the morning. So that we practice in Krishna Sadan. So every day when our elders wake up, like they'll have their tea, coffee at 6:30 with biscuits, some cookies. At 9:30 we give them the main meal. So there is one vegetable curry, one dal, one vegetable chutney, rice and curds in the morning 9 o'clock. And afternoon they have some tiffin like idli, dosa, whatever. At night they'll have chapati, rice and rasam, something like that. So even it's like an English quote, like a king's breakfast and a beggar's supper. Either you say it that, or you say health wise, like the people in tropical region, in this region, like their digestive system is more active in the morning, or culturally you say like our grandparents are eating in the morning. Somehow I love that style. So we do practice that in Krishna Sadan. And all the vegetarian food at Krishna Sadan is vegetarian for two reasons. One, I am a vegetarian and I cook vegetarian food. If elders want to have something different, when they go out, it's up to their choice. But in Krishna Sadan, we don't allow. That's something I strongly believe. Like they say, a very common thing, they say, Jaisa man, Vaisa man, something like that. I believe into it. And I'm a teetotaler myself, so even I don't encourage any elders like with habits into smoking or gutka or anything. I somehow take this as more, as a professional, maybe I shouldn't be saying this, but I take this as a godly work for whatever I do. However, again, I don't see, as I told you, like I don't actually need to treat each of the elder as a god. That's for me to believe in it. Again, it's not that I dramatize. On Mother's Day, I don't make them sit and do puja to their, no, nothing like that. The feeling, what I believe, is for me to experience it and understand it, and for me to know. It's not essential that I show it off out.
So it was lovely knowing about Krishna Sadan, your thought process behind Krishna Sadan, because there are a lot of NGOs, but your thought process is a little different from them, because you have made this like a sacred place, I can say, wherein you give them everything that they need in a very healthy environment. So lastly, winding up this episode, I wanted to give a message to all the audience who are watching this episode.
Only one thing, my request or thing is, like, most of any elder, you take any elderly person or any one of different age groups, no one wants to suffer or anything. Everyone wants to be happy. At least from our end, like when it's about elders, let's make sure like if they are at a home, they are comfortable, or if they are in a elders home, you keep visiting them. And second, very important thing is something I feel like that is very important is like there are several people, caretakers, who take care of the elderly quite a lot well. Like they do everything for them. They skip the weddings of their friends. They skip the work lunches, work dinners, whatever, for just taking care of the elderly person. One request for young volunteers or any for your viewers is, if you know some caretakers who are actually working very hard for elders, make sure you volunteer for the caretaker actually, so that they'll have a one peaceful day. Tell them like, I'll take care of your father or your mother, your grandparent. You go out for the entire day, spend like countries like US, they have 1 week caregivers week, something like that. Unfortunately, like yes, it's a responsibility of the person who is taking care, but sometimes they'll be very tired. They need a reliever. That is one request I can make. Otherwise, like I feel like everyone else is like as conscious as I am and as in the right direction as I am. I feel everything will be good. It's only a time process.
Thank you so much, Krishna ji,
Thank
for
you
joining in this episode of Social Heroes.
And thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to explain my experience with Krishna Sadan and in the elderly.
So well viewers, today we were in conversation with Mr. Krishna Mohan from Krishna Sadan, and I hope that his thought process and the way he's taking forward Krishna Sadan would inspire you to take a step forward. You would nourish your grandparents, or you would nourish the elderly people in your home just the way that Mr. Krishna Mohan is doing. So let us all together make this a beautiful place for all the elderly people, and let us give the beautiful life that they deserve. So with this is Ayushi Farasi signing off. Stay tuned to PMC English for more updates.